All right, so this is the kind of it's like fireside chat kind of vibe. This is the discussion. Hey YouTube, this is the discussion part where we're going to basically just kick around an idea for an interactive music video. Just because I think it's helpful to talk through it, to pitch ideas, and if you want to claim ownership of some ideas, fine. I do have a Google Doc. Normally I would be like taking notes. It's like, ooh, this is really interesting, and taking notes on the idea, but not today, just because I'll just look through it and take whatever notes. So the specific music video idea I have for today, it's not in here. I just have to get some water. Is Runaway Train, and you can actually see this in the Google Doc, where I just list my ideas. It's like basic kind of like the plot is you're on this runaway train and you're trying to stop it. You basically have 3 to 5 minutes to stop it. Maybe at the end there's a pass or fail thing. I kind of don't want to. Personally, I'm not really into the whole losing a music video idea. I mean, because it's a game, right? We're making a game, but there shouldn't be, like, I feel like to some extent, it shouldn't be like, you're bad at music. Right. That's not a thing. You know, if we design it correctly, the music video should sound good no matter what you do. If we do it correctly, and that's kind of the biggest, like, oh my god, how do I go about that? So that's like one of the biggest issues I'm trying to figure out, and it's probably just going to be trial and error. Well, yeah, I mean, if you don't want them to necessarily lose, you could always have it that there's a default ending where they get saved by something at the end. Either they get saved, or I feel like in this case it might be fun to just have them, like, go over the bridge and, like, just, like where the trains, and they fall, and there's, like, oh, they die. But, like, there's, like, for instance, in Beat Saber, which is a VR game where it's like Guitar Hero, where if you mess up, you lose, it's done, you don't get to listen to the rest of the song, you have to start over and get past that to get to the rest of the song. I'm like, nah, I spent so much effort into writing this music, I don't want only good players to listen to it. Yeah. So the idea is, there's this runaway train, and you're in the control cabin, basically. It could be a futuristic train. Mostly, I want there to be enough, like, frantic button pushing and lever pulling that, for a bit, that, like, you can control music with. So, like, for instance, I don't want the only interaction to be shoveling more coal into the boiler because there's steam, and there should be more things that you can do. So it would be cool to have, like, a futuristic train with a bunch of buttons. If you've seen Incredibles 2, like, oh yeah. Yeah, that train, that kind of train where there's those, but like in levers, like it looks like the cockpit of an airplane, like that kind of stuff. Probably a little bit less overwhelming, but there'd be like a couple of like primary, like, how do you stop this train? The brake isn't working. And because one of the reasons I was really interested in this idea is because of my friend Dmitry Khrienov, who was like, if you're in VR and you're on a moving thing that is moving at a constant rate, do you still get motion sickness? And he posited that you probably shouldn't, right? If you have like a really good enough reason, if you're in like, the engine room of the train and you're moving, but you're moving at a constant rate, you shouldn't feel super, if it's super linear, if you're just going straight the entire time and you feel no changes in acceleration, ideally, you don't get motion sickness. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but I'm still going to talk about this music video because I think it'll be really cool, specifically because you're, by default, changing locations. So it'll be really easy to delineate the form in sections because you just change geography. One of the biggest issues, I think, is how music kind of, like, ducks when you teleport. Basically, I feel like teleporting in a music video would be really awkward to mix, just because, the sound ducks or, like, proximity things just change wildly and there's no gradual transition to that. So to have something move you involuntarily so that the actual, like, because otherwise you kind of have to invent this weird magic that changes your environment around you, which we've talked about that in a couple of the previous YouTube videos. You can find us talking about, like, an example of that, where, every time you go through a loop, it gets darker and darker, like, you do this weird things. But But with this train, you don't have to necessarily do that. You can go past a desert, go through a mountain, you can go through a forest, and you can have different sections really clearly delineated by just geography. So I guess one of the things, like, I guess the question is, like, what do you think would be a good tool to change music with?
Good thing to change. Ooh, that's a good question.
No, what thing, like, in terms of plot, like, we're trying to tie a story together with music changing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what kind of things would you try and do in a Runaway Train?
I mean, are you stuck to only the cockpit, or can you actually move throughout the train itself?
I don't know.
Because that's something you could sort of explore. Because if you're in the cockpit, you're limited to so many things, as in you're saying, like buttons and levers,
yeah,
and, like compartments and stuff like
that.
that.
What kind of things would you do outside of the engine room to try and stop the train?
That's a good question.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm open to the idea. If there's something out there that's like,
because there could be,
save the children.
There could be saving the children, yeah. But what if there's like not a battery, but something like an engine isn't in that room, but in a different room, and you find somewhere in the book says like you have to go here and figure out how to stop it from there.
Sure.
You can move through, and you could change sort of like saying like scenic places, but maybe different parts of the train all have different parts of either the song or different arrangements.
Oh, different arrangements, like every room?
Yeah, it's kind
of
different. Like, if you have, say, 3 rooms, the cockpit, then passing, like, the passengers, and then, like, the other room you have to be to help stop it.
Right.
Another control room you might have, or I don't know how train work, obviously.
Right, we're musicians,
we're
right?
musicians.
Mind you, we're not train engineers.
But you could also, like, not change the song, but you could... I mean, I don't know if you could pan and fade, but like kind of you change from room, you kind of like sit between 2 different like almost ideas, but almost being the same thing.
Sure. I mean, yeah, like just the general way that video game music works. Just
right, exactly.
Usually.
Right?
I guess the biggest challenge for me usually is when you're moving from place to place, it gets a lot harder to like script. Right?
True, yeah.
So like, let's say, for instance, one idea that I had was every time, like there's a type of lever where like, it's got 3 or 4 settings, and each setting has, like, a different kind of worldview, I guess. Like, you're going, let's say you go through the desert, there's, like, let's say, or maybe even 2, just 2, like, forward and backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And it could control the night.
Right.
Like, every time you pull it forwards, like, the sun kind of just whoosh, and it becomes daytime, and then you pull it backwards, it goes whoosh, and the different things around you change based on, like, that could be just a general control where, like, every tool set that you have changes what it does based on daytime or nighttime. And it could change the arrangement massively, too, and you would probably expect it to.
Well, could it also change, like, because assuming it's kind of like a plane, just like cockpit, there are, like, 2 seats. I mean, you can't really sit, but, like, depending on which side you're on, it could also change a little bit of what you're hearing, or like depending if you try to grab like the steering wheel or something too.
True. I mean, yeah, just in terms of like how much you move in the actual space.
Yeah.
You could have different. I mean, that would be a more subtle thing, right?
Yeah,
especially if you've got.
It's literally taking 2 steps one way, taking 2 steps the other way.
Yeah. So like, what kind of things would you hear on one side versus the other? Right.
It could be like different parts of the mix, or like what you're hearing of the arrangement. Like maybe like another instrument could come in from somewhere else you're not hearing.
What would be interesting is if you could look out the window at the rest of the train, and when you stick your head out, like, let's say you can't move past that, but you can stick your head out and then look in the direction of the train, and when you look, like, down at the rest of the train, there's, like, this swell, and it's like, oh god, you have to stop the train, it's so intimidating. Or maybe you hear, like, the like outside noises, like of the tracks, like really kind of accentuated.
You hear the wind too.
The wind, or like, well, because the idea is like if you're on a runaway train, there's probably a really obvious kind of drum pattern that's going to be like either swingers like toom 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 toom.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You know, but you could actually like open a filter on that, or like add an extra layer where it's like when you stick your head out of the window, like you hear the outside, but on the inside is where all the electronics kind of style, like synthy stuff, or like electronic kind of panic happens,
right? And
you kind of get it. So just in terms of like head location, if you like walk over to the side and like stick your head out the window, you're like, everything is crazy in there. I'm just gonna stay out here. Whereas like different music, but like in terms, I like that idea. Just in terms, I don't know about like within the room, it might be a little hard to
Definitely a lot harder.
justify.
Yeah.